When you have the Texas, when you have the Christian Worldview Network worrying that you are not credible for them, yeah, you're pretty bad. So there may very well be some Democratic challengers.
Yeah, and as Schilling and pointed out on yesterday's Nonprofits, even the Pope's science advisor is okay with evolution. And when you find that your views are more backwards than the Vatican's, maybe you ought to rethink a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to go on a little bit if I could.
Yeah, please.
The subject you were talking about before, I'm a firm believer in that the minds of children have been brainwashed through not only indoctrination but by assimilation. And I'm so thankful for people like Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens who finally, we have people out there. We finally have scientists, besides Eugenie Scott, which for the past 10 years has been pretty vocal, but now we have some major scientists out there fighting for us. And then we have the internet, which I don't know if you're familiar with Aaron Ra, who is just amazing, and also Thunderfoot. And then we have children, or not children, but people in their young 20s from other countries, all helping to educate people who hook up to the internet.
Yep.
And what an incredible thing. We also, I really feel that we need to begin to start holding ministers accountable and priests, and not even give them any sort of credibility whatsoever. I mean, these people are liars, they're charlatans, they're false teachers, they're false preachers, everything that the New Testament tells you to beware of, and they're out there. I've personally spoken to about 30 because I make it a mission of mine to go out there and find what is in the minds of these ministers. Yeah. And I really have yet to find one.
The problem is proving it.
Oh, if you go and you speak to them about what the tenets of Jesus was supposed to be, such as being truthful and honest, then you get to the core of them. I have one-on-ones with these ministers, and I'll tell you, the vast majority of them do not take the Bible literally, but they don't think that the people can handle it. Oh, and frankly, I'm fed up with that, and I'm angry about that, and I'm angry that I was misled as a child by these people. And so I think that I'd like to call on atheists to, the next time you see a minister, ask them if you can talk to them for an hour. Let them know that we're beginning to get really angry. It is out of control. We don't live in the Bronze Age anymore, yet we're forcing children to think like Bronze Age people in this world of high science and technology. And thankful that we have the internet, and thankful we have people from other countries. Peace.
Yeah.
Thanks
for your call. Good call, Forrest. Appreciate it. Yeah, I think he's got a good point, but I think that, the thing to do is hold the anger in check, right? And just engage, challenge them on an intellectual level.
We talked about this a little bit at the pub crawl. I had a conversation with some people who were like, I don't like Dawkins too much because he's a little too forceful. Have any of you ever seen Gordon Ramsay? The guy's an ass. On Kitchen Nightmares, the F word, everything else. He is demanding, precise, meticulous, but you love him. He is there for one reason, to create good food, and he's not going to tolerate any half-assness. I'm sure he plays it up a little bit extra on TV. But the thing is, he's not just forthright, he's an outright ass to people in order to get them to appreciate quality, effort. And while Dawkins doesn't come anywhere near that, I appreciate the fact that there are people out there that are willing to do that. Because for every person who has abandoned superstitious thought through an application of reason and critical thinking, there's somebody else who had to take a different route. And one of those viable routes begins with ridicule. I'm sorry, but there are kids on the bus who stop believing in Santa Claus when the older kids tease them about it. That's the trigger that gets them to say, wow, could I really be so mistaken? And what we've done is we've created a society where in general we are kind of hands-off about, it was taboo to talk about religion and you don't insult people's religion. And now, by the way, we have the United Nations attempting to pass a binding resolution that would pretty much eliminate the rights of individuals to criticize religions.
It's appalling. Absolutely appalling.
If that passes as a binding resolution, not that it really has any teeth, and we talked about this on Nonprofits, so I'm not going to go in great detail, If that happens, I guarantee you there will be a special edition of the Atheist Experience that sets out to violate in every way possible that binding resolution. Because how dare you sacrifice the very principles that that organization was supposed to be founded to ensure, to better the world by kowtowing to people who'd rather not have their feelings hurt because their particular superstition is being picked on by somebody else.
Yeah, and as Dawkins has taken to pointing out in some of his most recent lectures, our feelings are hurt. We're offended. They're pretty much down to that now. That's kind of all they've got, more or less. And if this binding resolution passes, I will personally write the president and tell him, I think the United States now needs to withdraw from the United Nations.
We're only posturing by being in the United Nations in the first place, I'd say.
It's sort of, I'd say this, if anything can get me on the conservative side of the, not like in the UN, it's something like this.
Well, we've
'Cause this is just
disregarded
beyond.
UN stuff whenever it
Yeah.
suited us anyway.
But this is just, it's pure violation of, I think, one of our most precious basic freedoms, which is speech, thought, the ability to engage others with different points of view. And so, somebody's having fun in the control room, so. Anyway.
Look at the screen.
Oh, are they doing it? Wait, I'm not matched up. Hang on.
We got the wrong side.
Yeah, and
Way bigger.
you need to
I
go
should back up.
closer to
There we go.
me. Wow, it's weird. It's sort of like you're... What is happening? What is happening? I'm
All right.
changing.
All right, there's callers waiting.
God, we're being frivolous.
Yeah, there's
And,
callers
and
waiting. We're
people
talking about, why'd you
wanna-
have to do it when we're talking about something serious like the UN stuff?
Yeah.
Why couldn't you wait till I was making fun of Ray Comfort again or something? Anyway,
Well,
we've
yeah,
got
screw the UN. That's,
Stephen in Alberta.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
We apologize for making you wait while we had fun for no good
being
reason.
frivolous in the control room. Because we told them
I'm
to.
a bit nervous.
No, go ahead.
All right. I called in to talk about this whole debate about the existence of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I wanted to before I start with my arguments, just mention that I think people enjoy believing in the existence of a soul because the brain is a lot more vulnerable than the soul. I mean, the soul is supposedly perfect, and everything about you is like saved, and it cannot be erased by, illness or old age and so on. And people find comfort in that, I think.
Which I think is evidence for why we can be
No,
virtuous.
this isn't evidence.
No. What I'm saying that I agree with you, and I think that specific example is evidence for why we can be virtually certain that there's no such thing as a soul.
I suppose.
What's the mechanism? For example, if there's a soul that is you, that is unharmed, unchanging, and it's working through this brain, if we perform, let's say, a hemispherectomy on the brain, do we create a second soul, or do we just copy the soul? I mean, because you can end up with two distinct personalities, two different things doing this.
Yeah. Well, I'm not arguing in favor of the conventional idea of a soul. So, it's just I use that term because people understand what it means.
Do they? I think they have, like you said, a conventional idea about it. It's this sort of wooey thing that when you die, it's
Like a ghost.
it's a version of you that gets to not die.
Yeah.
That's really what it boils down to. But beyond that, specifically, I mean, if you want to try to pin people down on, well, where does your soul reside in your body? That's always one that, is it, if it's, they'll always, on the one hand, they'll say it's a non-physical thing, but then if it's part of you and you're physical, where exactly does the link between soul and body and mind exist, and does your soul reside within you? Is it in some other plane connected to you by a silver cord, or what some belief systems have? When you try to pin people down on that sort of thing, and they're just not really sure. They just want to know. They just want to have a thing that they can call a soul, so they can say, when I die, I really don't. That's really what they want to believe, I think.
But to be fair, we're going to pause right here, and Martin and I are not going to say anything, and you have at least 90 seconds to make whatever your case you're going to be uninterrupted.
Uh-oh.